The bass hit like a freight train, a deep, shuddering roar that shook the framed photos off my Lee Vying room wall and sent them crashing to the hardwood floor. I bolted upright from the couch, my hand instinctively reaching for the Glock I kept holstered in the drawer beside me. For a split second, I thought we were under attack, some hostile force breaching the quiet of my rural retreat. My heart hammered as I scanned the room, adrenaline spiking, only to realize the enemy wasn't foreign invaders or even a rogue militia. It was worse. It was local, entitled, and apparently armed with a sound system that could wake the dead. I stumbled to the window, still in my faded gray sweatpants and a threadbare Metallica t-shirt, peering through the blinds. Well, I saw my jaw drop. A red carpet, yes. An actual red carpet stretched across my gravel driveway, like some low-budget Hollywood premiere. A dozen mismatched folding chairs were lined up in rows, facing a wobbly podium where a woman in stilettos barked orders at a guy wrestling with a cotton candy machine that looked like it had been salvaged from a county fair dumpster. It was 9 a.m. I was supposed to be on leave from the state troopers, enjoying the first quiet morning in months. I hadn't even brewed my coffee yet. Rubbing sleep from my eyes, I stepped outside, the cool April air biting at my bare arms. I figured this had to be a mistake, maybe a neighborhood block party gone rogue. Wires crossed, wrong address. What I didn't expect was the immediate assault from a woman with a blonde bob, so aggressively layered it looked like it had been styled with a weed whacker. She wore oversized sunglasses perched on her nose and a glittery gold sash that proudly declared hostess in looping cursive. She took one look at me disheveled, unshaven, clearly not ready for company, and recoiled like I'd just spat on her Prada handbag. "Excuse me," she screeched, jabbing a manicured finger toward my beat-up Ford F-150 parked in front of my garage. "You can't park that thing saw there. You're blocking the entrance." I blinked, still processing the absurdity. "The entrance to what?" "My charity event saw," she snapped, as if I were the VY Lodge idiot who'd wandered into her kingdom. "We're hosting a red carpet gala for local influencers. Guests arrive in an hour, and that truck is ruining the aesthetic." I turned slowly, deliberately, to stare at my truck. It sat exactly where it always died in my gravel driveway, attached to my house, which I'd bought 3 years ago with cash and a handshake. No HOA, no shared lots, no fine print obligating me to cater to anyone's delusions of grandeur. I turned back to her, keeping my voice low and even the way I'd been trained to handle volatile situations. "This is my driveway. You're on my property." She waved a dismissive hand, her bangles jangling like wind chimes in a storm. "We cleared it with the HOA. It's communal." "There is no HOA," I said, folding my arms. She sniffed, adjusting her sunglasses. "Well, someone said we could use it." "And who was that?" She hesitated, her lips pursing. "Elliot." "Elliot who?" Another pause, longer this time. "My event planner's brother. He said he knew the area." I almost laughed. Almost. This woman had commandeered my front yard based on the word of some phantom named Elliot, who might as well have been a figment of her imagination, and now she was demanding I move my truck to accommodate her glitter-dusted fantasy. Before I could respond, a crew rolled up in a rented van and started unloading industrial-grade speakers onto my lawn, flattening the wildflowers I'd let grow since spring. That was it. I stepped forward, my voice firm but still calm. "Ma'am, you need to move this event off my property. Now," she gasped, clutching her chest like I'd just threatened her with a bayonet. "You're being very aggressive, right now. I'm going to have to ask you to leave." I stared at her, dumbfounded. "Leave my own driveway?" "Yes," she snapped. "This is a professional event. You're making people uncomfortable." The only people I'd seen so far were the cotton candy guy, who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else, and a caterer unloading trays of what smelled like burnt quiche. Still, she whipped out her phone with the flair of a Broadway diva and dialed 911, her voice rising to a theatrical pitch. "Yes, hello? I'd like to report a man threatening me and refusing to leave during a permitted charity event." I chuckled. I couldn't help it. "You call the police?" She smirked, smug as a cat with a canary. Yes, you'll be gone in 10 minutes. 10 minutes later, 2 squad cars rolled up, lights flashing, tires crunching over the gravel. The first officer out was a rookie named Danny Perez, a kid I trained with last year. When he saw me, his eyes widened, and he straightened up like he'd just been caught slacking on duty. "Trooper Hayes," he said, GIVYing a half nod, half bow. "Sir, what's going on?" I gestured at the chaos. "Linda here, I hadn't caught her real name, but if fit, decided to throw an unauthorized gala in my driveway." Linda wedged herself between us, hands on hips. "Officer, he's being difficult and aggressive. This is a peaceful event." Danny glanced at her, then back at me, his brow furrowing. "This is your property, right?" "Yes," I said. "And she's trespassing." Linda's mouth fell open. "You're a cop." "State trooper," I corrected. "And a homeowner. 2 things you should have checked before dialing 911. She sputtered, her composure cracking. Well, you're abusing your power. I'm calling your boss. You can't intimidate people just because you have a badge." I pulled out my phone. "Want me to call him for you? He's probably free." Danny bit back a grin as the second officer, a grizzled vet named Tompkins, ambled over. "Ma'am," he said, his voice gravelly from years of chain smoking. "Do you have permits for this event?" Linda crossed her arms. "It's a private charity event. I don't need permits. It's for a good cause." "What's the charity?" I asked. "It's a foundation for up-and-coming influencers," she said, as if it were the most noble cause imaginable. Danny raised an eyebrow. "That's not a charity." Linda's face flushed crimson. "You're all just jealous. This was supposed to be my big comeback." "Comeback from what?" I pressed. She didn't answer, just huffed and stormed off toward the caterer, yelling something about patriarchy and gluten-free options. I looked at the officers. "Guess I'm hosting a party." They laughed. Tompkins radioed it in as a CIVYL misunderstanding, but Danny offered to stick around in case Linda got creative. I thanked him and went inside to finally brew that coffee, wondering how far she'd push this. She didn't disappoint. 10 minutes later, she was back, standing in front of my garage with a nervous-looking man in a cheap suit holding a clipboard. "I found someone from the city," she shouted. "He's here to shut you down." The guy waved awkwardly. Actually, I just do zoning inspections." I sipped my coffee from the porch, leaning against the railing. This is going to be good. The next morning, I dared to hope Linda had come to her senses. Maybe the red carpet, the tent, the cotton candy machine, all of it will be gone. A bad dream swept away with the dawn. But when I stepped outside, I was hit with the whine of a leaf blower being used. Saw a pop-up canopy, and Linda's voice screeching about napkin folds. She hadn't just staged escalated. Balloon arches sagged over my driveway. A rented inflatable flamingo bobbed pointlessly in the gravel, and 2 more tables groaned under the weight of mismatched decorations. My property was now a full-blown, wildly illegal event space. I set my mug down, walked inside, and pulled out my ace, a binder stuffed with property deeds, survey maps, and receipts. Then I flipped on my security system monitor. The motion sensors have been lighting up like a pinball machine since yesterday. Every stomp, every scream, every time Linda tripped over an extension cord, caught in glorious high def. I called my buddy Sam at County Code Enforcement, a guy who owed me after I'd pulled his kid's car out of a ditch last winter. "Sam, you awake?" I asked when he picked up groggy. "Barely." "What's up, Hayes?" "Got an unauthorized red carpet gala in my driveway. Any permits filed?" He laughed, then sobered when he realized I wasn't kidding. After a few minutes of clicking through records, he confirmed, "No permits, no filings, nothing under Linda's name or her vague Influencer Futures Foundation." "Want to swing by?" he asked. "Bring your clipboard," I said. 30 minutes later, Sam pulled up in his county truck, stepping out with a mix of authority and disbelief, like he'd walked into a carnival run by clowns. Linda spotted him and swooped in, grabbing his arm. "Finally, I've been trying to get someone to deal with this aggressive man threatening my event. Are you code enforcement?" Sam nodded, polite but firm. "Yes, ma'am. I'm here to check your permits." "Can I see them?" She laughed, brittle, forced sound Ann dug into her purse, producing a crumpled stack of papers that looked like they'd been run off a dying printer. Sam scanned them, his frown deepening. These don't match our forms. They're copies, she said quickly. I adjusted the layout for the flyer. It's a design thing. I stepped forward. Linda, why's the city logo in Comic Sans? And who's Elliot W? Listed as Super VY Soar? Same Elliot who approved this. She froze, then snapped. I don't have to answer without my lawyer. Great, Sam said, scribbling on his clipboard. Forging a permites a violación. We're shutting this down. You can't, she shrieked. Guet adivinare. I have a VIP list. I glanced down the road. 2 cars idled, and a guy in a tux stood by a sign reading influencer entrance, looking lost. 3 girls in yoga pants snapped selfies by my truck, obli VYS. Linda's eyes darted wildly, then lit up. She pointed at the power box on my house. See that outlet? We're plugged in. Doesn't that make it communal? Sam blinked. You're using his power? I followed the cord plug into my saw exterior outlet, snaking across to a blender whirring margaritas. You've been stealing my electricity? It's deductible, she insisted. You can claim it on taxes. Sam and I exchanged a look. She just confessed to utility theft on camera, with a county officer present. She stormed off, phone in hand, yelling, "Tag the location. We're being harassed." She's going VY Rao, I muttered. Not how she thinks, Sam replied. By noon, Linda's gala was a train wreck. The caterer bailed. The power was cut legally by me from my breaker box, and the few guests milled around, clutching Dula 50 tickets and deflating balloons. Linda raged on, blaming everyone but herself. Then a sheriff's SUV rolled up, dust swirling. Sheriff Grayson stepped out, all business, a VY-8ers glinting in the sun. You haze? He asked. Yep. Thanks for coming. He eyed the mess. You weren't kidding. Linda charged him. Finally, remove this man. He's harassing my guests and sabotaging a sanctioned event. Grayson raised an eyebrow. Ma'am, I'm here to serve a cease and desist. You're trespassing, stealing utilities, and hosting without permits. Vacate in 15 minutes, or it's criminal. She laughed, unraveling. This is my event. We have a hashtag. He handed her papers. She snarled. You don't know who I am. Don't need to, he said flatly. She stormed off, muttering about the mayor's office. I overheard her on the phone. No, it's not my house. What do you mean Elliot's gone? A county investigator arrived next, pulling me aside. We've been tracking her multiple aliases, fake charities, ticket scams. She stayed too long this time. She's all yours, I said. By evening, Linda was gone, her SUV peeling out, Leah VYing a trash driveway, and a deflated flamingo. Grayson smirked. Press charges. Everyone you've got, I said. The next week, she filed a complaint against me: harassment, obstruction, emotional distress. I took my footage, logs, and deeds to the station. The investigator laughed. She attached a forged flyer as EVY Denke. We're counterfiling. Linda's past unraveled scams, fines, fake events. The fraud unit pounced. Her foundation was a shell. Her accounts froze. A journalist called for a quote. If you build your empire on someone else's driveway, I said, don't be shocked when it's towed. Her trial was a circus. I testified, uniform crisp, watching her wink at me like we were in on a joke. Guilty on all counts, fines, probation, no events without oversight. She vowed to come back. I installed a sign, private property. Trespassers prosecuted, filmed, and possibly memed. Months later, I hosted a real block party: permits, food trucks, no stolen power. The mayor bought a cupcake named after Linda's fiasco. Balance restored. I sipped my coffee, knowing if she ever returned, I'd be ready with cameras rolling. If you were the one in this story, how would you react? Would you stand up and fight back, or accept the unreasonable pressure and control from the HOA? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this VY Deo with more people. Your small action gives us the motivation to keep bringing you more intense and engaging stories. Thanks for watching. and we'll see you in the next VY Deo.